You can tell by the shape of the iconic box that I have a new Glock here, and it really is a new Glock. I happen to have a Glock 43 in this box. This is my first time looking at a Glock 43, so let's do it together. All right, so we open the box. What do we have? We have a very slim, petite and pretty Glock 43. It comes with two magazines. One is the flat floor plate, and then another one with an extended floor plate. Strangely enough, they didn't add any magazine capacity to it. It's just a place to put your finger. I think that was a mistake. They could have crammed another round in there without any extra trouble. I'm not sure what they're doing there. They're a cleaning rod with a brush, which is typical, and a cute loader. I'm used to the fatter ones. The dimensions on this pistol are diminutive, and it's kind of cute. And of course, they've got a cable lock for securing the gun, and the fired casing if your state requires that. Back here we have all the paperwork, your warranty, and the manual. But none of that's really interesting. What we're interested in is this new little pistol. I predicted that this was going to come out when we were all disappointed in the Glock 42. It's like, oh my God, a 380 really? And in that size pistol. The 380 these days should be in the size of a pistol of like the Ruger LCP. The 42 did become popular though because it was a good mix between a slightly larger pistol and a moderate powered cartridge, so very smooth shooting, and a lot of people were enjoying it. But most people that are carrying for protection want the power of a 9mm or more. And so I figured that once the 42 was out for a little while, they'd figure out a way to bump it up into a full 9mm 9x19. So initial impressions, it fits good in the hand. I carry a Glock 26 every day. I've had one on my side for 16 hours a day, since 1999. So I'm used to this system and this size in general. I've got my my Glock 26 here. Let's see how they compare. And we'll do some close-ups so you can see that too. And height and length are very, very similar. The difference is going to be in the thickness. And they've shaved off about 0.2 of an inch in thickness. And there's good and bad to that. The good is it's going to be more slender for concealment. It's going to have a shorter trigger reach, which we'll measure in a little while. The downside is we're now talking about a single stack magazine rather than a staggered magazine, so your capacity is limited almost by half. So that is a bit of an issue. I like the way it feels in my hand initially. Obviously, there's no place for my pinky. That doesn't bother me. I started off carrying a PPK back in the late 80s with a flat floor plate. I just got used to wrapping my pinky underneath the magazine floor plate and just got used to that. That's not a problem. So there's really no surprises here. It's a Glock. So if you're, have bought into the Glock brand and have already carrying a 19 or a 23 or a 26 or 27 or whatever it is, this is going to be absolutely familiar to you. If you're looking for a backup gun for your duty Glock, this is a good choice. It's going to ride really nice in an ankle holster for a secondary gun or a tertiary gun. I wouldn't carry my primary in an ankle holster. It's going to be perfect for the appendix inside the waistband. It'll disappear in that position. It's small enough it can be pocket carried. This is about the size of a Walther PPK. It's lighter because of the polymer frame, and it's a more powerful cartridge. Better manual of arms with Glock Safe Action, which is sort of a double action only. So let's get the camera moved in and do some close-up stuff. And then I can really compare it to the 26 and you can see what I'm talking about. And then we'll run some rounds downrange. All right, so we have my old standby everyday carry Glock 26 in comparison to the brand new Glock 43 that I'm seeing for the first time today. And you can see that, there's nothing unusual there. All the controls are normal. It does have the larger magazine release as opposed to the smaller one. And the slide stop is identical to the old one. There's only one pin here as opposed to the 2 pins that are holding in the barrel locking block. Slide stop lever is recessed and very small. Other than that, nothing really unusual. Let's stack them up and see how they are size-wise. And you can see that they're pretty much identical in height and length. The difference is going to be in the thickness. So we have the 26, here's the 43, and the 43 is really slender. Another way to look at that is in the magazines. And you can really see the difference in the size between the two. And you can also see the difference in the capacity. So we have 6 rounds as opposed to 10 with one in the chamber, so you're looking at 7 and 11. So almost, not quite half, but definitely reduced capacity. That's going to really point up the fact that you're going to want to have a couple of spare magazines on you and the importance of carrying a spare magazine. I would expect to see extended magazines in the near future. If not Glock, somebody else is going to come out with, I would expect an 8, maybe even a 10 rounder. As an extended magazine. Of course, they'll set it up so that it extends below and gives you more to hang on to. Let's take a look at the insides. So to unload, to take down a Glock, we make sure there's no magazine, make sure there's no round in the chamber. I like to visibly and physically check. Then we need to pull the trigger, so I'm going to point the gun in a safe direction in case I've screwed up and there is actually still a round in there. And now I have to release the pressure on the slide lock by pulling the slide back just a little bit. Pull the slide lock levers down. Slide comes off the front. I can pull the recoil spring off and the barrel comes out, and that's the Glock field stripped as any Glock would. Let's take a look at the internal components compared to the Glock 26. All right, so there's the recoil springs. Hard to tell the difference between them. And the barrels. And you can see the Glock 43 barrel is slightly more slender. Then we have the slides. And now you can really start seeing a difference. I'll stack them up on top of each other. And now you can really see that, it's maybe 0.2 of an inch difference in the thickness. It's not the thinnest 9mm on the market. I think the car has it beat by a substantial amount. So they didn't go, to beat any records on the thickness, but it's definitely more comfortable than the Glock 26 for smaller hands. All right, let's throw these back together, and I'll show you that. We take the slide, hold it upside down, put the barrel in first, lock it in. We take our recoil spring, put the nose in first, and then slide it onto the rails. All right, no surprises there. I've been doing this for decades. If you're used to Glocks, no surprises. All right, so let's look at trigger reach. So I'm going to take a piece of paper and stick it through the trigger guard here and put the end on the center of the back strap. And now I'm going to take a magic marker, make a mark on the center where the trigger safety is. So that's the trigger reach on the Glock 42. Let's see how it compares to the Glock 43. So we'll do the same thing. We'll slide the paper through the trigger guard, put one end in the center of the back strap, run it forward, make our mark on the trigger safety. And that's the difference in the trigger reach. So a bit over 1/4 of an inch in trigger reach. And that's going to be one of the advantages to the Glock 43 for people with smaller hands, is that the distance from the back strap onto the trigger is shorter. And so this will be better for people that have trouble reaching a Glock. And the standard Glock is a little on the large side. So, you know, even though this is the micro Glock, it's a full-size frame as far as this dimension of the trigger reach. And, you know, I have an average size hand, and I have to work at getting onto the trigger properly. That's not an issue with this pistol. There's plenty of room for me to get my finger on there properly. If you have large hands, this pistol is going to be a challenge for you to shoot. All right, there's really nothing else I can really say here at this point. You know, it's a Glock, and there's nothing special here. The sights are the plastic polymer that you'd expect. That's the first thing I would change on this. Yeah, so let's stuff some magazines and we'll go throw some rounds downrange. All right, so we've had the close-up look at the Glock 43. Let's throw some lead downrange and see how she shoots. Start off with a flat 4-plate magazine. All right, so initial impressions. Those are the first 6 shots I fired out of this. Trigger's a little heavier than I'm used to. I run a 3.5-pound connector in my my Glock 26. The trigger's a little narrower, and I think that gives me a little bit of an impression of a little bit more resistance to the pull. Shot fine. I'm shooting at 15 yards, 8-inch plate and a 5-inch plate. I missed one shot a little high. It seems to be shooting just a little high, so now I know I have to aim a little low. Let's use the extended magazine, and the extended magazine barely lets me get my pinky on there. The slide release lever is really difficult to hit. I've got pretty strong hands and I can barely manipulate it. Not a problem for most people who are just going to manipulate the slide to run it forward. Doesn't feel too bad for putting it back up to lock the slide back, but trying to release it is interesting. Yeah, 6 rounds doesn't last very long. You just start getting wound up and the gun's empty. Let's see how the magazines are to load. These are single stack Glock plastic magazines. They're kind of cute. Loading is easy, as you'd expect. I don't feel it really stacking as I go along. And man, 6 rounds just comes up so fast. Yeah, loading fees should not be an issue for anybody. Of course, Glock does include their loading tool if you are so inclined to use that. All right, let's do some single-hand shooting. All right, so that was interesting. I had 3 misses right off the bat. Wasn't really expecting that. I very often when I'm shooting my Glock 26 single-handed, because the trigger reach is a little on the long side, I have to really be mindful that I'm pulling the trigger straight back and not applying any sideways victor on the trigger. This shouldn't have been an issue on this pistol because the trigger reach is a 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch shorter. I can get plenty of finger on the trigger. The thing is, this is a lighter pistol, so it's recoiling more. And so I had to adjust my aim point lower to get me onto the steel because the point of impact was a little bit higher without that second hand fighting the recoil. All right, let's see if I can hit anything with my weak hand only. Maybe I should stick to shooting support hand only. The recoil is noticeably stouter than the Glock 26, and that's just a matter of 2 things. The weight is a lot less, and the back strap is narrower, so you're having the same amount of force directed into a smaller footprint. So it's not unpleasant, but it's noticeably stronger. So all in all, the gun's been totally reliable. A few other people have been shooting it today, so it's had about 200 rounds through it. Right out of the box, it's been utterly reliable. It hasn't bobbled once. Slides locked back every single time, and it's been working flawlessly. So what is it for? It is for a deeper concealment than your normal Glock 26 or 27, where being more slender is important. This is going to be good for people dressed in business clothes that are a little bit tighter fitting and not quite as heavy a structure as work clothes or as like dungarees, blue jeans, that sort of thing. This is going to be a good backup pistol for somebody that carries a Glock on duty. So, as a secondary or tertiary gun in an ankle holster, this is a good place for that. It's going to be a good gun for people with smaller hands where the regular Glock the trigger reach is just a little bit too much for them. So that's kind of the niche for this. This make a good pocket carry gun with the proper holster. Don't pocket carry without a holster. And it's just basically meant for appendix carry inside the waistband. It's going to totally disappear in those circumstances. I like it. The only thing that I think Glock could have done better is they could have taken Springfield's lead with their XDS-4. This gun would have been just outstanding with a 4-inch barrel on it. The barrel is easy to conceal. It's down your pants in the holster. The grip is what's and the girth are the 2 things that make it hard to conceal, and we have that. It's a slender gun with a short grip height. Having an extra, 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch in barrel length would, make the gun shoot better. It'd be less muzzle flip, more weight forward. It would give you a longer sight radius. I think Glock missed the boat on that, and I think if they had put in a longer barrel like the Springfield XDS-4, they would have had something really special. As is, really slick little pistol. I like it. I don't have too many rounds through it, but my initial impression is very, very positive. I don't have anything negative to say about it other than, man, if they'd put the 4-inch barrel on it, wow, that would have been very cool. You listening, Glock? So I'm Peter Burlingame of the Self-Defense Initiative. I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and please tell your friends about us. And if you're ever in the Virgin Islands, look up the Virgin Islands Shooting Equipment Company, VICE, for all your shooting equipment needs. Be safe out there.